What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're enjoying the content, and if you are, drop us a like, subscribe and turn on notifications. So I thought today we'll talk about how to break the psychological barriers in trading. Now, we've all heard of the saying FOMO, or fear of missing out. Now, over the last year, I've come to learn through speaking to thousands of students that missing out is only half the reason traders find trading so difficult. It's not because they want to jump into a trade late or even force a trade if they miss it. The most common pattern that I've noticed is not actually taking the trade in the first place. Now, I call this fear of taking the trade, meaning wanting to take a trade but not being able to do it, only to realize later on the trade that they wanted to take hit take profit and the trade that they decided to take hit their stop loss. Now, I know this sounds counterintuitive because then we have to ask, how do so many traders blow their accounts? Well, I'll touch on that a bit later. But what you have to understand is the underlying factor that encompasses not taking the trade in the first place. Fear comes in many forms, but for trading, I put it solely down to anxiety. Now, anxiety is a feeling of unease, worry, and fear. Now, think of those three things. They sound familiar, right? Especially as a trader. Anxiety-related fear is the biggest cause for hesitation as a trader, stopping us from seeing the markets clearly, to making us make uninformed decisions to not take the trade, period. And this entrapment takes over a trader's mind, almost imprisoning them and eventually suffocating the potential out of he or she. And this boils down to a couple things in my opinion, and I'll touch on them shortly. And I'll also share with you some tips you can try to fix this common battle. It is very important though, firstly, to identify what fear we're talking about, because this is not a physical fear that we have to face. It's not someone holding a gun to our head and saying, if this trade doesn't win, then I'm going to shoot you. Neither is it a healthy fear, knowing that we shouldn't drink before we drive. This is a psychological fear with nothing attached to it other than the fact that we may be wrong. So that being said, it's super easy to fix. But before we go into the reasons associated with why we fear and why it destroys so many traders, and I give you tips that can help eliminate this, I just want to touch on one thing that I believe is a secondary culprit to fear as a trader: distractions. Now, you might be asking, what has this got to do with it? Well, firstly, confidence in oneself is built through repetition. The more you practice something, the better you become at it, and in turn, you feel more adept when performing that task. Now, I know that so many people want to be traders, full-time, part-time, or just to supplement a salary. But far too many traders expect to achieve the same results as someone else putting in more time and effort into their craft. Expectation plays a huge part in the contribution of fear and of being distracted as a trader, because traders prefer to invest their time in novelty activities, thinking they already have what it takes to achieve their goals, because in their head they think they know the answers. Now, we all know this is absolutely untrue and ludicrous. I don't care how much knowledge you have as a trader, book-wise, YouTube-wise, Instagram-wise, if you do not practice daily, execute and learn from your trades, respect the markets and understand its behavioral patterns, your progress will dwindle away by the day. The markets are constantly changing and adapting, and it's vitally important that we change with it. For those that are like this, I would really suggest you recognize one thing. Trading has nothing to do with your strategy. It is the person behind the strategy that makes your trading what it is. Start to identify what it is you are doing that is causing these distractions. Is it internally and something you need to work on yourself, or is it externally and something you may need to cut off? Regardless, you need to figure it out. And once you have, then you need to accept that the process of eliminating distractions is going to be hard. Now, that's a fact. But what you have to weigh up is, do I want to be a trader as bad as I want to continue to allow these distractions to take precedence in my life? If it's social media, then be honest with yourself. Do you need to cut it out? If it's going out on the weekend, say to yourself, How long can I really sustain this before it's too late? Health is wealth, remember this. If you're getting tired of being on the charts, limit yourself a day or two less. Allow for your brain to rest. You may not be able to do this immediately, but guess what? You can make plans to do it over a period of time. Eventually, you will be able to break the habit and will start to focus on the reality of what it takes to be a trader. But at the same time, on this note, know this, maybe you're just not meant to be trading. Think about it. What's important to you? So let's get back onto some of the biggest reasons why traders face anxiety and fear taking trades. Now, we know that trading involves money. So when we think about the relationship with money and us as humans, we view it ultimately as our security, a means to pay our mortgage, rent, bills, and if we can't sustain paying those, it leads to debt, mental health, and the rest. So naturally, we are all conditioned to making sure that we treasure our money or at least have a high regard of value to it. When we come into trading, the majority of us have been conditioned that trading is simple, and if I buy this course or I buy these signals, I can start to make money immediately. We also start to believe that our freedom and break away from the 9 to 5 lies in the balance of us learning this new skill. With all of that build up, it creates a huge weight on our shoulders. The realization of all the things mentioned, and probably tons more, becomes the real risk we're taking with every trade we take, not just the money at risk. A cycle of win stirs up excitement and brings back a lottery feeling, which is I'll be able to do this, I'll be able to buy this, and then guess what happens? You take a loss, all those excitable thoughts and moments have been crushed, and then doubt starts to set in. And before you know it, if this continues, eventually your confidence in achieving your dreams gets crushed. What sets in? Fear, anxiety, self-doubt, feeling guilty to your spouses, beating yourself up, a sense of non-reality, hopelessness and despair. Our brains are not wired to take risks to gain more as humans. We as humans are not built to live life like this. When we take a trade and risk not only money, but everything else mentioned above, we start to feel disconnected from ourselves and the way we have always been, which is in control. If we win, it triggers a belief that the next results will be similar if I just do the same thing. And if you lose, you start to worry that this might happen again in the future. Now, I could go on, but I think that you're getting the point. This is what creates fear and anxiety. And until this is recognized and fully accepted, or at least you find your own real reasons why, other than I just can't lose this trade because this is a perfect setup, or I just can't afford to lose at all, you will never be able to get out of the pit that you are stuck in. Now, I could give you all the generic reasons why: too much risk, not using a stop loss. We all know that. But I think it's very important for me to personally give you my experience as a trader and the experience of many other students that I've taught directly to you here and say what I actually believe. Now, can we make this right? Absolutely. Will it be easy? No way. But remember, nothing great in life is. There is always a cost, whether it's money, time, energy, the list goes on. But if you want this, then guess what? You're going to go for it. First, you need to ask yourself some serious questions. Are you risking more than you can afford to lose? Are you chasing losses? Are there people around you criticizing why you're trading? Are you increasing your risk because you're not seeing the results you need? If so, to at least two of these questions, you have a problem, and one that will be very hard to change, but possible at the same time. Firstly, let me help you get rid of this notion. You will not be rich in 3 months. Whoever has done it before has done it, but people win the lottery. How many people do you know that has won? Secondly, you need to accept that with anything you have done in your life, school, uni, promotion at work, it takes time. The reason why you pulled through and achieved what you wanted to achieve was because 1, you had no choice, or 2, you really wanted to do it. So learn now that you have to step up to the mark And as a trader, take 100% responsibility for your actions. No one is going to babysit you. Next, really look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, do I really enjoy trading, or am I doing it because it seems like the easiest thing to do right now? Reasoning that all you need is more money to make money, ask yourself, how much dedicated time am I really spending on growing as an individual? Or are you expecting to bear the fruits of someone else's labor? When you start to ask yourself these questions, you will start to reflect on who you really are. Remember in the beginning, I said it's not the strategy that makes a trader. It's the person behind the strategy that makes the trader. You really have to understand that trading is a patient business. It will take you time. But ultimately, it's going to be you who decides whether it's going to work out for you. You can't blame the markets like you would blame your boss or your work colleagues. It's not like you can just blame your partner for leaving the toilet seat up, or a stranger for knocking your drink out your hand when you're walking down the streets. The markets are emotionless and they don't care about you. You need to stop marrying your charts and start treating them like you're visiting the toilet. You go when you need to go. You take a trade when there is one. Trying to speed up the process of your results will never work no matter what you do, because only time and trust in the process will bring you the rewards. What you have to do is disconnect yourself from the outcome and accept that only the process of hard work, patience and dedication will bring you your results. Once you can do this, the weight on your shoulders and the pressure you face will be rid of. But you can only do this by working on yourself. Remember, you have only you to blame. In summary, stop what you're doing if you are the one that is struggling. Ask yourself, why are you doing what you're doing? Cut off your distractions. Figure out what is really holding you back. Put things into perspective. And once you have done that, ask yourself one final question. Have I accepted that the markets have no involvement in my results, and I now accept full responsibility for each move I take? My results are a reflection of me, and I am now ready to work smart, be patient, and trust the process.